After dating for 4 years, my husband and I had been married for 10 months. On the day I went into labor, his white moonlight ex-girlfriend got into a car accident. He abandoned me in the delivery room and rushed to her side. Midway through, I suffered from dystocia. The doctor asked if they should save the mother or the child. Desperate, I chose to save myself. The baby didn't make it. Afterward, I asked for a divorce. He knelt on the ground, clutching my hand tightly, crying his eyes out. 6 months into my pregnancy, the sun was shining brightly at noon. Ethan and I were strolling in the garden downstairs, soaking up the sun. "I want a boy," I stroked my round belly, while Ethan supported my waist with one hand from behind. Even though boys might be naughty, this world has so many dangers for girls. I do worry about her for the rest of my life. Ethan huffed, pretending to be displeased. "I like girls. Just let me see who dares to bully my daughter." We giggled. A clear blue sky stretching overhead. Not far away, a girl in a red dress was hiding behind a tree, secretly watching us. Although her behavior was timid, that splash of bright red was truly eye-catching. As if she was afraid no one would notice her, we continued walking slowly. In an instant, I saw the girl's face clearly, and my heart skipped a beat. A few days ago, a stranger had liked my post on social media. I clicked in to take a look, and it was this very girl. I quickly realized something and looked at Ethan. Sure enough, he had also noticed the person behind the tree. First, he was stunned, then a storm brewed in his eyes, but on the surface, he pretended to be calm. Seeing that we had discovered her, the girl turned and ran away. I glanced at Ethan casually and asked, "Do you know her?" His face stiffened. He hesitated for a moment before returning to normal. He replied faintly, "Never seen her before." Ethan and I were graduate students at the same university. He was 2 years ahead of me. The first time I saw him in the cafeteria, it was love at first sight. After building up my courage for a long time, I asked a guy for his contact info for the first time ever. He smiled, his eyes curving gently as he rejected me. "I have a girlfriend." "Sorry." Later, I heard his girlfriend was a freshman named Sarah. I never paid much attention to who this Sarah was, only hearing that she was breathtakingly beautiful. A few days later, Ethan graduated. He became like a passerby who had made a stunning appearance in my youth, gradually forgotten by me. We met again at a mixer arranged by friends. Graduates from various art academies gathered together. He spotted me in the corner first. This time, he took the initiative to ask for my contact info. I asked him, "Where's your girlfriend?" He shook his head and said, "It didn't work out." Back and forth, from texting to occasional dinners, from sparse greetings to reporting good morning and good night, we discovered more and more common topics. After that, we naturally defined the relationship. We dated for 4 years. I had always been looking forward to Ethan's proposal until I found out about my accidental pregnancy. When the test results came out, I saw a moment of astonishment on his face, followed by a firm gaze directed at me. "Let's get married." Without the romantic proposal ceremony I had expected, I felt a little disappointed. "If it's because of the child." "No," he interrupted me, looking into my eyes with sincerity. "I love you." His parents, grandmother, and friends all liked me very much. Everything went smoothly, like a fairy tale. I married the person I had liked years ago. He was gentle and took care of me meticulously. Most importantly, he was upright and had boundaries, giving no chance for anyone with ulterior motives to get close. Even his friends teased him. Ethan has a natural iron wall. In this flowery world, not a single seductive butterfly can get close to him. I had always been very satisfied with this. During pregnancy, he followed my lead in everything, carefully protecting and caring for me. Because of endocrine disorders and rising pregnancy hormones, my usually mild temper became unpredictable. He always patiently coaxed me, amused me, and found ways to make delicious food for me. With such a perfect husband, I should have trusted him immensely. But why? With just that one glance just now, did a storm of unease rise in my heart. It seemed like I suddenly smelled danger, and a red light unconsciously lit up in my head. Is this a woman's natural sixth sense? I clutched my chest, feeling a wave of panic. Ethan noticed it too. He quickly supported me, asking anxiously what was wrong. I shook my head and looked up at him. Our eyes met, and I suddenly understood. For more than 4 years, the way he looked at me had always been gentle but without any ripples. But just for a brief moment earlier, I saw countless bitter emotions surging and extinguishing in his eyes. In the following days, everything continued as usual. Although I kept recalling that girl's beautiful face and the unwillingness in her eyes, Ethan didn't seem affected, still thinking of me and everything. I had to warn myself not to let my imagination run wild. The further along I got in my pregnancy, the more strange whims I had. On a midsummer night, the heat made it sticky and hard to sleep. I sat up in bed, wanting to turn on the AC, but Ethan stopped me. "You'll get rhinitis later." The faint moonlight hit his brows and eyes, adding a touch of gentleness. "Lie down. I'll fan you." I shook my head. A voice suddenly popped into my head, and I blurted it out. "I want to eat raspberries." "What?" His gaze faltered. He looked at his watch. It was 1:00 a.m. "Raspberries. I want to eat raspberries. Hubby, I want to eat raspberries." He shook his head helplessly, patted my head indulgently, and turned to get his phone. "I'll check the delivery apps." He searched everywhere. Most fruit shops nearby were closed, and the ones still open didn't have such rare items. "How about tomorrow morning?" He tried his best to coax me. An inexplicable grievance rose in my heart. I wanted to throw a tantrum and make him break his old habit of not going out after midnight for me, but seeing the fatigue in his eyes, I had to nod unwillingly. "Good girl, lie down. I'll fan you." I lay down obediently. Ethan fanned me unhurriedly, a gentle breeze brushing my face. Thinking of the sweet and sour scent of raspberries, I gradually fell asleep. When I opened my eyes again, Ethan was presenting washed raspberries to the bedside like a treasure, but I didn't want to eat them anymore. Yet, not wanting to spoil his mood, I forced myself to eat too, then ran to the bathroom and dry heaved for a long time. Recently, when Ethan was home, his phone rang frequently. Every time he glanced at it, he would silence it. "Why don't you answer?" I had long thrown Sarah to the back of my mind, assuming it was just work matters, nothing important. As soon as the words left his mouth, my heart trembled. Ethan always regarded the art gallery as more important than his own life. How could it be nothing important? I remembered that girl, until early morning, after I finished watching a movie, washed up, and was ready to go to bed. The phone on the coffee table lit up again. I glanced at it. It was an unsaved number. "Calling at this hour. It's probably really urgent. Answer it." I stared closely at Ethan, observing his reaction. He picked up the phone somewhat stiffly, put it to his ear, grunted twice, and then wandered into the bathroom. When he came out again, I was leaning in the shadows of the living room watching him. He was getting ready to put on his shoes, going out. Only then did he notice me. The expression on his face when he turned around was panicked for a split second. "Something came up at the gallery. I have to go over." "What happened that you have to go so late?" I dug my nails into my palm, trying hard to tell myself not to overthink. "Nothing major. You rest first. I'll be back soon." He left in a hurry, the sound of the door closing cutting off my words. Another wave of panic, lying in bed, tossing and turning, unable to sleep. 2 hours passed. I finally lost my composure and called him. The phone rang for a while before he picked up. I could tell he was driving. "Hubby, are you coming back? I'm too hot to sleep." There was a pause on the other end for a few seconds before he answered somewhat stiffly. "It'll be a while. You sleep first, even if it's hot. Don't turn on the AC." I murmured an and he had already hung up. Ethan probably didn't even know it himself, but every time he answered my call, the first sentence was always, "Wifey, what's wrong?" Every single time. But today, he didn't call me that. I tossed and turned in bed for another 2 hours, fear growing in my heart. Suddenly, I thought of social media. Following the browsing history, I found Sarah's account. Just 10 minutes ago, she had updated. In the photo, a girl dressed playfully was squatting by the roadside, holding a dried vegetable flatbread bigger than her face, smiling brilliantly. Next to her stood a man, revealing only half a calf and a hanging hand. The diamond ring on his ring finger sparkled. It was the match to mine. The caption read, "The dried vegetable flatbread at 4 a.m. is still steaming hot. You are still the same as before. As long as I say I want to eat it, no matter how late, you'll take me all over the streets and alleys to find it." My heart convulsed with pain. For a moment, it hurt so much I couldn't seem to breathe. I was suddenly terrified. Waves of cold washing over me. I hurriedly got up to pull the quilt, covering myself tightly in the sweltering midsummer. When Ethan came back, the sky was already light. He crawled into the covers, bringing the cool air of early morning, and hugged me from behind. Pregnant women are not only sensitive nervously but also have abnormally acute senses of taste and smell. Even though he had taken off his jacket, I still smelled the faint scent of cherry blossoms on him. That was an unfamiliar scent, overflowing with a young girl's sweetness. "Why back so late?" Seemingly startled by my sudden voice, Ethan shrank back. "Did I wake you?" He tightened his arms again, holding me closer. "Everything's resolved. Go to sleep." I hummed an pondering the meaning of his words. Everything's resolved. Does that mean everything is sorted out? Maybe the two just went to retrace the path of the past and say a proper goodbye to the bygone years. Ethan wasn't a man without boundaries. It was probably just that. Thinking of this, my heart, heavy all night, finally had a little life again. Slowly turning around, I burrowed into Ethan's arms, like a lost treasure recovered. I thought you went behind my back to do something guilty. Ethan's body stiffened, then relaxed and chuckled lightly, pressing a cushion behind my heavy waist. How is that possible? I wouldn't. I rubbed against his chest coquettishly. You can't wrong me. I'm about to give birth to your child. This time he didn't hesitate, gently patting my back. Don't worry, I won't. Relationships are inherently fragile. Once suspicion arises between two people, it grows in the trivial details of life, making one unable to stop constantly searching for confirmation. Since that time, I had been paying attention to Sarah's social media. Fortunately, Ethan's figure didn't appear again. However, a set of pictures she posted yesterday caught my attention. They were desserts from my favorite cake shop, and every item was what I usually loved to eat. I felt vaguely uneasy but comforted myself this cake shop was famous, and these were popular items. Naturally, many people liked them, although I deliberately tried not to think the worst. My hand still reached into his coat pocket while Ethan went to shower, clutching the receipt from the cake shop. I was once again mocked by my own naivety. Like usual, he bought all the cakes I liked and then delivered them to another woman. Standing there, I felt the world spin, my breathing becoming labored again. Before long, a dull pain started in my lower abdomen, and warm liquid flowed down my thighs. I was scared silly, frozen in place, my mind blank. Ethan came out of the bathroom, saw me, and jumped in fright. He dropped what he was holding and ran over. Panicked, he threw on some clothes, carried me downstairs, and drove speeding all the way. Fortunately, by the time we arrived at the hospital, I had gradually stabilized, and the continuous pain turned into contractions. It was still 2 weeks before my due date. The previous checkups had been normal, and the doctor said it wasn't a big problem. I was wheeled into the delivery waiting room. Ethan stroked my head, comforting me. Don't be afraid, wifey, I'm right outside the door. After calming down for a few minutes and preparing for an exam, the originally weak contractions suddenly became violent. I screamed in pain. Seeing this, the doctor urgently prepared for delivery. By then, I was drenched in sweat. The pain swept over me like a storm, every second torturous and long, as the doctor continuously announced, 5 centimeters, 6 centimeters. The tearing pain constantly exceeded what I could bear. I gritted my teeth again and again, using all my strength, but never heard that crisp cry. Suddenly, the doctor at the foot of the bed began to shout calmly, the fetal position is incorrect, and the fetus is too large. Quickly notify the operating room to prepare for surgery at any time. Family, find the patient's family to sign the surgery consent form. Although the doctor remained calm, I could hear the anxiety in his tone. The nurse trotted out, then ran back anxiously a moment later. The patient's family is not here. How can they not be here? Call him. The doctor seemed anxious now, shouting at me. Push, keep pushing, breathe with my rhythm, breathe out, breathe in. Sweat blurred my eyes. I closed them, my face purplered, feeling my last bit of strength dissipate at any moment. No one answered the phone in the end. The doctor tried his best to calm his emotions and looked at me with soothing eyes. The family is not here. We can only seek your opinion while you are conscious. If an accident happens, he paused, seemingly finding the words burning his mouth. Save the mother or the child. In an instant, countless images flooded my mind. Finally, I turned my head in despair and squeezed out 2 words. Save me. When I was 14, my mother died in an accident. Within half a year, my father married a stepmother. After that, I became marginalized in the family, trying to lower my presence until I left home for college. Since then, my father never asked about my life again, as if he had forgotten he had a daughter far away. I knew deeply the cold taste of not having a mother, and I could never trust the role of a father. If I were gone, and my child came into this world alone and helpless, what a heartbreaking scene that would be. So, baby, don't blame mommy. If it were 6 months ago, I would have chosen to save you without hesitation because I believed you still had a good father. But now, mommy really isn't sure anymore. Mommy can't let you take this risk. In this suffering world, only a mother's love for her child is eternal and unchanging. Aside from that, everything can be destroyed. When Ethan returned, I lay in the hospital bed, half asleep. He must have heard that the baby had died. His steps toward me were heavy as lead. I stared blankly at the dazzling white wall in front of me, my gaze unfocused and misty. Why, wifey? Ethan approached carefully, His eyes filled with inexplicable sorrow. I turned my head to look at him, unable to muster the strength to make an expression. He squatted carefully by my bed, his palm gently touching my forehead, stroking back my damp, stray hairs. I wanted to question where he had been. Tears were about to surge from my eyes, but with a sweep of my gaze, a red lipstick mark on his shoulder burned my pupils. The faint scent of cherry blossoms drilled into my nose. My stomach churned, acid corroding my throat. Tears flowed backward, silent and soundless. I turned my head away, no longer looking at him. Wifey, I'm sorry, the doctor said it would take a few more hours, so I just, get out. I was no longer interested in his lame, clumsy lies. I only felt that breathing the same air as him made me nauseous. He seemed not to have reacted, still stammering, wanting to explain. Please, get out. Finally, he stood up and slowly walked toward the door. Before leaving, he whispered a sentence. Wifey, I'm right outside, call me if you need anything. After staying in the hospital for a week, we went home. My sadness was insurmountable. My heart would throb with pain from time to time. At night, I hugged my pillow and moved into the guest room. Ethan wanted to stop me but ultimately didn't say anything. During this time, he guarded me every step of the way, cooking different meals 3 times a day, but every time, I just took a few sips and gave up. It wasn't out of spite. I truly had no appetite. My body was exhausted, drowsy all day, yet unable to fall asleep for a moment. Whenever I closed my eyes, my mind was full of thoughts about what my baby looked like, piecing together bright smiling faces from beautiful children I had seen, until one afternoon, a light breeze blew through the window lattice, dissipating much of the summer heat. Accompanied by the faint scent of grass, I finally fell into a deep sleep. In my dream, a little girl in a flowered dress threw herself at me, shouting, Mommy, Mommy. I hugged her small, soft body tightly, planting kisses on her soft face. Mommy, don't cry. Her chubby little hand wiped away the tear stains on my face, her voice milky and childish. I'm leaving. I have a new mommy and daddy. I'm going to find another mommy now. Mommy, you have to live well too. Okay. Her childish eyes sparkled. I covered my mouth and nodded. The dream ended just like that. Although I knew this might just be my subconscious at work, I stubbornly believed that this dream was real. My baby found a new home, a happy family, and parents who loved her. I stopped refusing Ethan's care. I ate my fill at every meal, and my complexion visibly improved. Ethan breathed a sigh of relief and occasionally tentatively chatted with me. Wifey, when you recover a bit more, let's go to Guam. Didn't you like the glass chapel there the most? I smiled and didn't speak. In the 3rd year of dating, I told him that my most longed-for proposal scene since childhood was in the glass chapel in Guam, with my Prince Charming kneeling on one knee amidst radiant light. That was my blatant hint, but he kept his mouth shut. I thought he had forgotten. Turns out, he remembered everything. He just didn't want to do it. I looked at houses on an app for a few days and contacted several real estate agents, planning to move out once my body fully recovered. Ethan and I kept our finances separate. This house was full of his things. I was alone, with only a few personal clothes. Ethan's phone would still ring suddenly when he forgot to mute it. Every time, he ran in a panic to silence it. Occasionally he would answer, always avoiding me. Although I couldn't hear the content of the conversation, I could clearly feel the impatience in his tone growing stronger each time. He eventually found various excuses to go out for appointments. I stopped paying attention to Sarah's social media and didn't care what they did. I was just anxious to make space for them. One early morning, his phone rang noisily in the living room. He hung up. It rang again. After repeating this several times, he answered helplessly, not knowing what he heard. His face changed. Then he hemmed and hawed, telling me his grandmother was sick and he had to go visit. I nodded understandingly, signaling him not to mind me. He hugged me once and then left in a hurry. His grandmother lived in a neighboring city. A round trip in one day wasn't possible. Taking this opportunity, I contacted the agent and went to see a few houses I liked. When I returned, Ethan's grandmother and mother were actually waiting outside the door. Seeing me return, they greeted me affectionately, concerned about my health. I opened the door and led them inside, subconsciously scolding, Mom, really? It's not like you don't know the door code. Why wait outside? My mother-in-law smiled warmly, her eyes curving, and simply said, It's not appropriate, not appropriate. Sitting on the sofa, the sunlight outside slanted in halfway, reflecting on Grandma's hand holding mine. Tears streamed down her face as she patted the back of my hand lightly. You've suffered, you've suffered. Ethan kept telling us not to come, saying you weren't in a good mood. If you're feeling unhappy, just cry it out with Grandma and Mom. You'll feel better after crying. My nose stung. Then I shook my head. My mother-in-law, eyes red, scolded gently, "Mom, we agreed not to cry before we came." Warmth flowed through my chest. A warmth I hadn't felt in a long time. This is a mother's unique magic, easily destroying the bravado a child puts up. The grievances and grief suppressed during this time surged up together. Just before my tight nerves collapsed, Ethan returned. He ran urgently, panting heavily, his forehead covered in fine sweat beads. The first second he entered the door, he looked at me nervously. I pulled the corners of my mouth at him, trying my best to imitate my former tone. "Grandma was worried about me, so Mom brought Grandma over." Seeing that I didn't expose him, Ethan nodded blankly, then looked at his mother. "Why didn't you tell me in advance so I could pick you up?" His mother smiled gently, her eyes soft as water. "You were busy, it didn't matter." Then her expression changed. "You too. Not staying home to take good care of Clara. What are you running around for?" Finally exhausting the last bit of acting, I smilingly sent off Ethan's grandmother and mother. They had always treated me well. I wouldn't take my anger out on them. And I was afraid Grandma would really get sick from anger. Closing the door, Ethan grabbed me as I prepared to return to my room. "Clara, he stammered, wanting to explain his lie. "It's okay." I interrupted him calmly, pulling my arm back. "You must have had some unavoidable reason to lie." I paused, then sincerely suggested, "But next time, don't joke about Grandma's health. Bad things are more likely to come true than good ones. This world is always strangely eerie." Seemingly sensing the distance I kept maintaining calmly, Ethan appeared a bit impatient. Before sleeping, he knocked on my door hugging a pillow. "Wifey," he approached me carefully, then sat by the bed and hugged me. "Let's sleep together, wifey, I miss you." Having known each other for over 4 years, he had never spoken to me in such a coquettish tone. If it were before, I would have been overjoyed, but now, I only sighed inwardly that he had so many sides I had never seen, and felt waves of nausea. I didn't speak, letting him hug me. Seemingly sensing my stiffness, he gradually let go. He knew me well. He could see through the resolution and coldness in my eyes at a glance, but he asked cautiously, as if unwilling to give up, "Wifey, what's wrong?" I looked calmly into those eyes that used to make my heart race. No longer a ripple in my heart or words. "Ethan, let's get a divorce." He stared wide-eyed in confusion, hands gripping my shoulders tightly. The disbelief on his face looked as if he genuinely didn't know the reason. Unaware people would think I was making a fuss over nothing. I continued to murmur calmly, "Since Sarah came back, I realized I never truly knew you. Turns out, everything you were unwilling to do before was just because you hadn't met the right person." Hearing me mention Sarah, panic filled Ethan's pupils. He probably hadn't guessed the affair was long exposed. I looked at him indifferently, squeezing out a smile. "But it doesn't matter anymore. Ethan, go to the person you love." "But I love you." Ethan suddenly reacted intensely, hugging me again, his arms tightening, squeezing the breath out of me. "Clara, I really love you." Sarah is just sick. That's why I went to see her. Since I married you, I never thought of separating from you. I didn't tell you because I was afraid you'd worry, afraid you'd overthink. I really love you." I was wrong. "Okay." Ethan looked up, his tear-filled eyes gazing at me deeply, issuing a nearly desperate plea. "Please, wifey, please forgive me." "Okay, Sarah and I really didn't do anything. I won't see her again." "Okay." I sat there numbly, my gaze falling on the green wallpaper behind Ethan, murmuring lost words. "But we can't go back. It was the bread you delivered to Sarah that caused me to get emotional and go into premature labor. It was you who left me no time for the last prenatal checkup before delivery to avoid risks. It was you who rushed to another woman when I needed you most. It was you who killed my child." Ethan, who always prided himself on being clear-headed, seemed to lose his mind at this moment. He cried and knelt on the floor, holding my hand tightly, explaining incoherently, The bread was bought for you, but Sarah said she fainted from low blood sugar, so I gave it to her. The baby, that day was because Sarah attempted suicide. It was the same hospital. I thought I'd go and come right back. I didn't expect." I took over his words. "Didn't expect that she would hold you and cry for so long, cry until it was dark. Didn't expect that when you came back, you'd be separated from our child by death." I stared at him with a gloomy gaze, revealing burning hatred. "Ethan, do you think we can go back to the past?" His pupils shrank sharply under my stare. He stopped arguing, just choked and repeated constantly, "No divorce. I want divorce." Ethan ultimately couldn't stop me from moving out, but he still refused to sign the divorce papers, calling me from different numbers every day. His mother also called me. I thought she would try to reconcile us, but she just kept expressing her apologies. Clara, Mom won't interfere in your affairs, Ethan begged me, but Mom knows you must have suffered a huge grievance. Even if you separate from Ethan in the future, you are still Mom's daughter. Let's not break the bond between us two women. I whispered okay, tears already streaming down my face. After that, I stopped getting distracted by this, changed my phone number completely, and prepared to sue for divorce. I returned to my life before dating Ethan, quit my job, and picked up the paintbrush again, painting by the window all day, reading books and watching movies in my spare time. Life was calm without ripples. Having nothing to do, I live-streamed my painting process on social media, thinking that if someone liked the finished painting, I could sell it at a low price, counting as some income. I thought the new account would have dismal traffic, but unexpectedly, on the third day, a lot of viewers suddenly poured into the live room. For a moment, I was nervous, only able to awkwardly squeeze out welcome everyone to the screen. Suddenly I noticed the comments were all spamming a name. Are you Vision? This brushwork and style really look like the hidden master Vision. God of us art students. Lifetime series. Vision reemerges. Why did I hear that the new painter Sarah who just returned to the country is the painter Vision? Is the streamer Sarah? Seeing the name Sarah, I smelled something secretive. Ever since my most cherished and carefully crafted painting hung in Ethan's gallery for half a year without anyone asking about it, I completely gave up painting and went to a magazine to do layout design. I hadn't paid attention to the art circle for a long time. I urgently turned off the live stream and Baidu'd painter Vision. The search results showed picture after picture of my once proudest work missing the moon. I painted that picture for 6 months, expressing my endless longing for my mother. Trembling, I clicked on the introduction of painter Vision. Vision, painter believed to be the stage name of new painter Sarah. Her work Missing the Moon was bought by top art collector Leo within a month of entering the Ethan gallery and is still on display in Leo's private gallery. Someone offered $600,000, but Leo refused to sell. Many art lovers are curious about Vision's identity. Someone discovered that the ex-girlfriend of the owner of Ethan gallery is the new painter Sarah. It is speculated that painter Vision is likely Sarah, who recently returned to the country. Below the introduction was a video interview with Sarah. In the video, someone asked Sarah if she was the painter Vision. She covered her mouth and smiled, answering, "No comment." Such a conspicuous answer quickly confirmed the media's speculation. My heart suddenly beat violently, the stifling chest making me unable to breathe for a moment. I thumped my chest hard, making a dull hollow sound, until tears burst forth and I finally exhaled the foul air blocking my throat. Crying loudly, I collapsed on the floor, tears flowing until they dried up. Ethan, you really are a bastard. Becoming a painter was a shared wish of my mother and me. She liked painting, and what made her happy was discovering that I liked painting too. Since then, she left early and returned late every day, scrimping and saving, generously handing over money squeezed from her teeth to painting training classes. I lived up to expectations, always ranking first in the studio, and teachers from the Central Academy of Fine Arts praised me as a good seedling. Before my mother passed away, she held my hand, instructing me to get into the art academy and become a famous painter. Later, I got into the Central Academy of Fine Arts as wished. After graduating from graduate school, I could have been a college teacher, but I gave it up. I put all my energy into creating works, occasionally substituting at training classes when ends didn't meet. Not long after Ethan and I started dating, he offered to put my works in his gallery for sale. At that time, I hadn't created a satisfactory work until I painted Missing the Moon. Full of confidence, I handed the painting to him and waited for 6 months. 6 months later, the painting was sold by him for a difficult price of 4,000 yuan. I was disheartened hearing this, because that painting was all my heart's blood, and I had put in all my skills. I sincerely asked Ethan if I wasn't suitable for painting. He turned his head away and didn't answer. I thought he couldn't bear to hurt me. I was cowardly. I was afraid I would eventually fail my mother's expectations and disappoint her. Later, I changed careers, never picked up a paintbrush again, and never went to Ethan's gallery once. I always thought Ethan wouldn't lie. Turns out, from the beginning, he told such a big lie. He never hung my painting, nor told me the truth about selling it. I once asked him how I should sign it. He patted his chest and said he would give me a nice stage name. Later I lost confidence and forgot about it. At first, I couldn't figure out why he did this. Later I understood. Vision. Yuan Jing. Sarah's Chinese name is Song Yuan. Ethan's is Xingjing Ran. Is just a combination of Sarah and Ethan's names. To pave the way for his old lover's future, he didn't hesitate to bury my ideals. Or perhaps, When he approached me at the beginning, he also fancied my painting skills. I didn't go to settle accounts with them. Sarah found me first. I was surprised she found my new address. Even Ethan didn't know this place. Later I remembered. The meditation post I forwarded a few days ago accidentally included the location. At the gate of the community, carrying fruit. I recognized her at a glance. She seemed to be provoking me, still wearing that red dress. We sat down in a cafe next to the community. I was in a good mood and ordered a sweet cappuccino. I thought she came because of my live stream, but unexpectedly it was still because of Ethan. Turns out, in the month after I moved out, Ethan hadn't seen her again and stopped answering her calls. I sneered and looked at her contemptuously. But Miss Sarah, what does this have to do with me? The light in Sarah's thin, desolate face sharpened, her tone mocking. Isn't it your ghost trick of playing hard to get? Seeing you can't keep Ethan, you pulled this runaway stunt. Truly despicable. She looked extremely confident, despising everything like a proud princess. I couldn't help but sigh. So people who think they are loved are this arrogant. I never had this. Ethan and I separated not because of lack of love. She raised her volume, her voice piercingly sharp. Back then, because my mother didn't like Ethan, she forcibly sent me abroad, so we were forced to separate. Now no one can control me. I am the one Ethan loves most. If you were sensible, you should leave him with dignity. You might think him the mistress, but I think in love, the one not loved is the mistress. I couldn't hold it back. I almost spat out my coffee, looking at her with eyes full of laughter. Little girl has a future. You can say such shameless words so refreshingly, but sorry, I can't help you. Just as Sarah was about to change her expression, I said unhurriedly, I asked Ethan for a divorce long ago. He's the one delaying and refusing. If you have a way, help me persuade him too. You two are so congenial. Why hold on to me? Do the three of us have to live together? If he agrees to divorce, I can refrain from exposing Vision's identity and lend you this title. But if he still doesn't agree, don't blame sister for ruining your future. After speaking, I slapped a red bill on the table and got up to leave. Finally, I turned back to the stunned Sarah, smiling gently. Use the change to take a taxi back. The loved one. After that day, Sarah didn't appear again. A week later, I went to the hospital for a re-examination and ran into Ethan squatting at the hospital entrance. I pretended not to see and wanted to bypass him, but he rushed over desperately and hugged me tightly. His hair was messy, beard unkempt, eyes full of decadence, and his body smelled of smoke he never had before. Clara, I know I was wrong. Please come back. Okay, without you, the house is really empty. I miss your laughter every day. Miss our past happiness every day. I will atone for this all my life. Please forgive me. Okay, let's forget the past and start over. Okay. I pushed him away coldly, dusted off my body with disgust. Then my gloomy gaze fell on his face. Then tell me first, what happened with my painting? And what about Vision? He was stunned, as if he had long thrown this matter to the back of his mind. Or perhaps he thought I would be kept in the dark forever. This world is so ridiculous. Perpetrators can always easily forget their evil deeds, then lightly say, don't mention the past. We must look forward. But those wounds carved into my body one by one, the brands cast by my tears of blood, hurt like death whenever I remember them. Why should I forget? Why can't I resent? I won't let hatred ruin my life, but I won't forget who pushed me off the cliff with their own hands. If there's nothing else, in leaving, I avoided Ethan wanting to leave, but he grabbed my wrist backhanded. Clara, I can explain. Clara, Ethan. The noon sun was scorching. Under the sunlight, the girl across the street was crying and shouting hysterically. Sarah's frail body swayed on the roadside. She was terrifyingly white, without a trace of blood. Do you choose her or me? Amidst the rapid traffic, the girl used her habitual trick, threatening suicide again. Go quickly. I broke free from Ethan's restraint and lifted my chin towards Sarah. Or she'll really get hit in a moment. Ethan remained unmoved, eyes full of the pain of being forced helplessly. Sarah, stop it. I beg you, stop making a scene. I'm married. I have a wife. Our matter is in the past. You said the last meeting was to say a decent goodbye, but every time you use depression as an excuse to threaten suicide. Do you know, because of you, I didn't even see my child for the last time. Let's end it here. I really won't fall for this anymore. I want to be with my wife, together forever. Men can always easily shirk all responsibility, standing comfortably in the victim's perspective to accuse everything. Sarah's desperate face had lost its luster, tears in her eyes. She began to move slowly toward the center of the road. Do you love her? She screamed through tears. Of course. Ethan didn't hesitate. Then do you not love me anymore? Ethan opened his mouth, stalled for a long time, and answered irrelevantly, "We are in the past. I asked if you love me anymore." Sarah was close to madness. Passers-by rushed to grab her, but she broke free desperately and ran forward. A speeding truck braked urgently. Sarah was grazed and fell. She spun and fell, her frail body lying on the ground twitching slightly, like a falling feather. I can only say the scene was poignant enough, but the acting wasn't exquisite. Ethan panicked. He subconsciously took a step and then paused. I believe he understood in this instant too. He could never escape Sarah's shackles. He still fell for this. He also understood he couldn't answer Sarah's question, whether he loved her or not. He could never bring himself to hurt her personally. He might be able to watch her fall into the abyss indifferently, but he could never accept that the person who doomed her was himself. Isn't this also a kind of love? I shook my head and withdrew from this farce. Ethan watched me leave quietly. A moment later, he turned and walked toward Sarah. Late summer was already tainted with the chill of early autumn. After a few autumn rains, the weather turned cold abruptly. My body recovered well. I, who used to stay up late, now formed a good habit of running every morning facing the rising sun. Ethan hadn't contacted me since that day. One day, I found his email in my inbox. Very brief, just a few words. "Let's divorce." I agree. I dialed his number. Sarah answered, hearing it was me. She didn't hide her hostility, questioning why I called. I explained my purpose, and through her message, set a date to go to the Civil Affairs Bureau with Ethan. On the meeting day, Sarah stood at the entrance of the Civil Affairs Bureau holding Ethan's arm, face full of arrogance. I found this scene amusing and couldn't help laughing. Accompanying a lover to divorce, absurd like a nonsensical comedy. Leo, who happened to drive me over, asked what I was laughing at. I shook my head, not answering. Ethan and Sarah both saw me getting out of Leo's car. Ethan's face changed, his pupils covered with a layer of faint unease. "Yo, Sister Clara is fast too. Hooked up with someone new already." Sarah teased me sideways, sneaking glances at Ethan's reaction. Instead of getting angry, I laughed, looking only at Ethan. "Control your little girlfriend. Next time I'll slap her directly." After speaking, I walked straight into the hall. Ethan comforted Sarah, asking her to wait outside, then followed me in. The marriage registration area was deserted, while the divorce line was long. We took a number and found an empty seat to sit. "The one who brought you. Is that Leo?" After hesitating for a long time, Ethan couldn't hold it back. He must have recognized him the moment he saw the car. I hummed with a suppressed voice. "How, do you know each other?" I hugged my arms across my chest, calm as if chatting with a stranger. "I went to see that painting." That day, I passed by Leo's private gallery again during my morning run. After hesitating a few times, I finally stepped in. Standing in front of Missing the Moon, I thought of my mother, tears falling. Unknown when, Leo stood by my side. "I understand." He spoke loosely. "I was like this too when I first saw this painting." I turned to look at him. He stood in the halo, clear yet blurry. "They all say this painting is about an unreachable lover, but I feel that moon is the heaviest and brightest longing for family. Seeing this painting, it's as if I see my father in heaven smiling at me." Saying this, he also turned to look at me, faint sorrow in his eyes, ready to try again. Turns out, Leo had watched my live stream and recognized at a glance that I was the creator of Missing the Moon. He discovered we had a mutual friend and guessed from clues that the painting must be by Ethan's wife. He had seen photos of Ethan and me, so as soon as I walked into the gallery, he recognized me, and I gladly accepted his invitation, signing with his studio under my real name, Clara Wen. This time, I want retreat again. I want my name to resound everywhere. I want my mother and child in heaven to hear these echoes too. After 4 months, my new work Cicada Moon was born. Cicadas sing in the Westland, guests in the South think deeply. Unbearable dark temple shadows, come to chant with white heads. I created this to commemorate my unborn baby. The entire scroll vividly displayed my piercing pain after losing my child. I will love my future life, living out a bright life for them with hope, but I don't want to pretend to be strong, pretending to have walked out of the haze to sing praises of a beautiful future. I want to tell the baby in heaven that mommy will always feel pain for losing you. Mommy will miss you forever and ever. As soon as this painting entered Leo's gallery exhibition, it garnered attention from all sides, receiving rave reviews inside and outside the industry. Many people compared Cicada Moon with Missing the Moon. Many experts expressed that these absolutely came from the same hand. The spearhead pointed straight at Sarah. The media came knocking. Under the camera, everyone was questioning Sarah whether Missing the Moon was really from her brush. If not, why didn't she deny it back then? she dodged in silence. Finally, it was Ethan beside her who spoke. The painting was done by my ex-wife, Clara Wen. She is actually Vision. I made the decision on my own to play smart and swap identities to help my ex build momentum without her consent. I deceived everyone. Apologies. Under Sarah's shocked gaze, Ethan bowed deeply to the camera. After that day, the reputation of Ethan's gallery decayed, and Sarah, the rising star that hadn't yet risen, fell instantly. Leo, who cherished paintings like life, surprisingly sent Cicada Moon to the auction house after seeking my consent. On the auction day, I entered holding Leo's arm. Leo specially arranged for me to call the bids personally. Standing on stage, I saw the thin Ethan enter from the back door and sit in the last row. The auction began, the price soaring all the way. From the starting price of 20,000, it was called up to 350,000. Just before the hammer fell, 2 paddles were raised simultaneously. Number 16. I frowned at Leo. His eyes were smiling, raising his eyebrows triumphantly. 360,000. Number 74. I looked at Ethan at the back. He stared intently at me, his eyes seeming to have many words to say. 400,000. The crowd let out small gasps of surprise. Seemingly surprised, Leo propped himself on the chair to look back, then turned back with a playful smile. 450,000. Leo raised the paddle again. 500,000. Ethan seemed determined to take this painting, hesitating not a bit from start to finish. 1 million. The lazy voice echoed in the quiet auction hall. Anger had risen in Leo's eyes. I knew this exceeded what Ethan could bear, but he seemed possessed. 1 million. Before Ethan could speak, Sarah burst through the door. She cried and cursed Ethan for being a bastard. All the most unbearable words burst from the mouth of that frail, innocent-looking girl. Everyone craned their necks to watch the joke. A heavy hammer fell, and the air finally quieted. 1 million. Sold. I pursed my lips in embarrassment, apologizing for spoiling the audience's interest. Leo stood up, strode onto the stage with his long legs, and stood beside me. He bowed to the audience below. Everyone. Sorry, didn't mean to play you. Clara and I agreed long ago that today's auction proceeds will all be donated to various impoverished schools to build classrooms and provide teaching materials and painting tools. I didn't really want to sell this masterpiece this time, but wanted to tell my newly signed painter, Ms. Clara Wen, your work is valuable, and far beyond what these numbers can carry. Gaining your favor is the honor of our star gallery. I hope in the future you can always believe in yourself, and occasionally trust me. Let's use paintbrushes to add a little color to this dull world together. At the end, he added humorously, art is priceless. Let's make money together. The crowd roared with laughter, followed by thunderous applause. After exiting, Ethan chased out and called me. I sighed and turned back helplessly. Baby, why aren't you leaving yet? Leo strode over from behind Ethan, bumping him hard with his muscular shoulder. Ethan staggered 2 steps weakly. Leo turned his head with fake apology. Sorry Ethan, are you okay? What's wrong? Why do you look so weak? The pampered wife is formidable. After mocking, he stepped towards me again, standing beside me and putting his arm around my shoulder. I understood immediately, my fingers climbing onto his lean waist. Ethan looked incredulous, lips slightly parted. You, Leo grinned, nodding with eyes full of showing off. Come to the wedding. If you don't come, I won't agree. Just as Ethan was about to say something, Sarah rushed out of the auction hall madly again. Ethan, didn't you say you were going to the toilet, leaving the 2 behind? Leo walked me to the parking lot with his arm around me. I turned sideways leaving his embrace. Thanks. I nodded thanks to him. Leo waved his hand, his handsome brows looking ruffian-like. You're welcome. You're welcome. Unlocking the car, Leo consciously walked to the passenger seat to open the door. Beep beep. I pressed the key, locking the car again. What for? Leo looked at me blankly as I walked to the driver's seat. What for what? I looked at him knowingly. Go back together. His pupils shook, seemingly pondering my intent. Didn't you drive? I pointed to his car not far away, exposed by me. Leo actually blushed. Car. All right. No time to take you. I interrupted him, opening the door. I have things to do. Starting the car, I saw in the rearview mirror that Leo was still stunned in place, and couldn't help laughing out loud. Lowering the window, the wind was clear and the moon bright, the sky full of stars. The car turned. Outside was the confrontation between a shrewish woman and a helpless man, throwing away the gloom. Inside the car were the stars, the bright moon, and a beautiful tomorrow belonging to me alone.